Hello, class. Did you know that when we drink from a glass or a thermos like I just did, we're using math? Now you might be thinking, how in the world are we using math when we just simply drink from a glass? Today, we're going to find out. So, what do glasses, thermoses, what do they have in common? They're called cylinders. And cylinders are actually all around us. Cylinders are in our pop cans, they're in our glasses, they're in this thermos. They're even in these things such as paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls. That's so crazy to think that we don't even think about those everyday things that we use almost every single time that we are alive in this world. So today we're going to be using this knowledge that we learned. So when you're at breakfast tomorrow morning, maybe, and you have that glass of orange juice, if you want to, you can calculate how much liquid is actually in your glass. So as you watch this video, I hope that you just are entertained, but you also stay engaged. You take notes if you want to. If you have any questions, please write those down. I will be discussing the content that we're learning. Then tomorrow we'll be doing a lot of guided practice with this. So you need to pay attention because this is really important stuff that you don't want to miss. So as I said before, today we're going to be calculating the volume of a cylinder using a formula, and then we're going to justify those steps with that. So before we start, we're going to refer to what we've already learned this year, and that is the area of a circle. And we know that the area of a circle, the formula to find that is pi r squared. And pi is equivalent to 3.14. The radius, or the r, I should say, is our radius. And if you kind of forgot what a radius is when we have a circle, it is from the outer edge of the circle to the center. And it is the measurement of this line right there. So how does this pertain to volume, you might be asking? So when we measure volume, we're actually measuring how many units are in the interior of a shape. And the big idea for volume is that when we have a shape of a volume that we don't have a formula to, we can break that shape into different volumes, and then we can combine them to find the total volume. So, as I said recently, we're going to be finding the volume of a cylinder. A cylinder is actually made of one rectangle and two circles. And the area of the circle comes into play because our radius, as pictured here, is from the edge or the side of the circle to the center. That is our radius. And the height, that's what makes a cylinder different, is it has two circles and one rectangle. And we measure the height or the rectangle by the height labeled h. So the rectangle, this is the length of the rectangle, but also it is the distance between the two different circles. So the formula that we use to find the volume of a cylinder equals pi r squared multiplied by our h. So some of you might be thinking, well, we know what pi r squared is. And you'd be right, because pi r squared is the area of our circle. So we take pi times our radius squared times our h for volume. So in a short, we take the area of our circle times the height of our rectangle to finish with the volume of our cylinder, or an approximation of that. So now that we've learned, or we've become familiar with the volume formula, I'm gonna perform an example for you. So as I said before, a cylinder is one rectangle and two circles. And in this example, the height of our rectangle, or our cylinder, is 10 inches. The radius is 3 inches. So how do we solve this? We substitute our h, so the 10 inches is our h, the 3 inches is our radius. We Substitute these into simply the letters of our equation. We have volume equals pi, which we know is 3.14. Our radius is 3. But we got to remember that we have our squared. We got to take our squared with us. That's going to apply to a 3. And we multiply that by our h. And our h in this problem is 10. So as we remember from our order of operations, we will perform the 3 to the squared power first because it is an exponent. We have 3.14 times 9 because 3 squared is 9 times 10. So as we simply multiply from left to right, 3.14 times 9 is 28.274. We solve that by using our calculator, or we can do it the old-fashioned way and write it on the board. We do 28 and 274 thousandths times 10. When we multiply those two numbers together, we finish with 282 and 74 hundredths. Now you might be thinking, we're done, right? But no, because especially with any problem that we're dealing with measurement, we have our units. In this problem, our units are inches. And the thing about volume is when we're dealing with volume, it is the units cubed, because a cylinder is a 3-dimensional shape. And whenever we deal with 3-dimensional shapes, we use volume. And volume is always units cubed. So it could be centimeters, meters, yards, but in this case, it is inches. So our final answer to this example with our cylinder is the volume is equal to 282 and 74 hundredths inches cubed. So as I said before, if you have any questions or confusions, please write them down on notebook paper. We will talk about them tomorrow in class, I promise you. So just kind of recap what we learned today. We used our prior knowledge of the area of the circle, which was pi r squared, and we multiplied that by our h to find the volume of our cylinder. So we're combining things that we're just keep building on our knowledge that we have learned. And the formula, so the final formula that we learned today, the volume of cylinder, is pi r squared times h. So tomorrow in class we will be discussing a couple more examples for this, and then we will be doing guided practice with independent practice after that. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.